Let me give it 1 minute, Jennifer. All right, I got it. I'm usually one that just go, but it seems like we just don't have a big crowd. Is anybody online? Councilmember Brady's online? Okay, all right, cool. Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call to order the October 8th, 2024 meeting of the City of Charleston Committee on Ways and Means. Thank everybody for being here and begin. I understand Councilmember Brady might be online, so I'm going to ask Councilmember Gregory to stand in and lead us in an invocation or a moment of silence, please.
I pray you'll be our eyes and watch us as we go, and help us to be wise when there are things we just don't know. Let this be our prayer when we lose our way. Guide us with your grace to a place where we will be safe forevermore. Amen.
Okay, before we get into our agenda, I need to make a motion to add not one, not two, but 3 items to this agenda, please. All of which are going to take a 2/3, 4. Well, one is 2 parts. Got it. What's that? I got it. Okay, I got it. It's 3 items that are in 4 parts. The first 2 have already been taken up by the Public Works meeting yesterday. The third has not. So here are the 3 items that I've moved to be put on the agenda. The first is to add a request to add and prioritize on our non-standard service fund, the relocation of transformers located at 141 Meeting Street. This is a project that is being led by Dominion. For those of you who aren't familiar with 141 Meeting Street, that's the piece of property just north of the Gibbs Museum, which is now in the hands of private enterprise. It is going to be a gathering space, and then the front building, the E.B. White Historic Building, will be sold to the Gibbs. The moving of these transformers is really prerequisite to any of that project beginning. And that project, at least on the first instance, needs to be done by next October. So the exigency here is literally timing. The second is a motion to add to the agenda 2 items regarding the municipal operations site. Stormwater regulations require the installation of 3 subsurface pipes underneath the rail lines that exist out there. They're owned by CSX. CSX is offered to perform the work for materials and availability of labor due, and the difficulty of getting materials and labor due to hurricanes. So again, the exigent circumstances is to get this project moving. The first would be to authorize to increase the amount for materials from $23,000 to $265,000. That allocation is budgeted in the municipal operations budget. And the second is to authorize the mayor to execute a construction agreement with CSX to allow the work to be performed. CSX has estimated the cost at $723,000 and change. This is also budgeted in the operations project. And the last to add on to our agenda is to take up a mutual aid agreement between Henderson County, North Carolina, and the City of Charleston Police Department, so that our police department can render aid to Henderson County. If you're not clear where that is, that's right in the wake of the hurricane. So those are the 3 motions. Can I get a motion and a second? Is there any debate, questions, concerns about any of the 3 items that are being added? We will add them as items numbers 20, 21, and 22 on the agenda if this is approved. Any discussion, questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? The ayes have it. We've now added those 3 items. Have I missed any? Where's my legal team? Did I miss something? We good? Okay, great. All right, let's get to it. The first is approval of minutes from September 24th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Any discussion, additions, deletions, corrections? Not, all in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next is legal department approval to accept the grant of the 2-year funding from the South Carolina Opioid
Second.
Recovery Fund, $893,000, no match. There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next, housing and community development approval to apply for a $6.1 million
Move
in
for approval.
grant and funding through the 2024 Pathways to Removing Obstacles and Housing Notice of Funding Opportunity, NOFO grant. This proposal has strategic alignment with HUD's strategic goals and our consolidated, and the consolidated plan. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Number 5, public service, approval to accept the Department of Energy's Energy Efficient and Conservation Block
Second.
Grant Agreement, no city match. I heard a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Number 6, again, public service, approval to accept the
Second.
Department of Energy's Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant. Again, no city match with this project. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next, stormwater management. Approval to accept the Barbary Woods Drainage Improvement
moved.
ASIP Grant Amendment Number 2 in the amount of $330,000 from the SC Office of Resiliency. Just to be noted that this matter was taken up yesterday at Public Works and approved unanimously. I heard a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next is the Police Department. Approval to accept an award of fiscal year 24 Abby Honold Grant in the amount of $500,000. Just noting that this item needs to be brought forward due to time constraints. Again, I don't believe there's any match on this one. I've heard a motion and a second. Is there any discussion, questions, comments? All in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. Again, the Police Department. Again, a fiscal 24 Port Security Grant Program in the amount of $163,000. There is a 25% city match, which we budgeted in fiscal year 2025. We've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this matter? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We're on a roll with the Police Department. Again, approval to accept an award for the fiscal year 24 Community Policing Development Micro Grant in the amount of $153,704. No matches required. I've heard a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. Police Department again, accept a fiscal year 24 Ernest E. Kennedy Center AET grant in the amount of $4,500. There is no city match required. Heard a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. Police Department approval to apply for a BJA fiscal year 24 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant in the amount of $45,000. This grant will fund training and emergency equipment for SROs and a replacement explosive detection canine. No match required again for this one. Any discussion? All in favor?
Mr.
Any-
Chairman, can we move approval from 13 through? I guess,
16?
16, yeah.
We have a motion to take 13, 14, 15, and 16 together. Is there a second?
Aye. Yes, sir.
Any discussion on taking those 4 items together? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. Now, items 13, 14, 15, and 16, which are all Police Department approvals. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. Number 17, if you're keeping up at home, Chief Policy Officer, Resiliency and Sustainability, approval for the mayor to execute an in-kind memorandum of understanding with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers regarding preliminary pre-construction engineering and design alignment study for the coastal storm risk management project.
Can we take 17, 18, and 19 together?
Motion to take 17, 18, and 19 together. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We've already had a motion on 17. I wouldn't mind us just voting on that real quick if you all are okay with that. So any discussion on this one? Just a quick comment. You all may recall, those who've been sitting around this table for a number of years, this is a little bit of a realignment of the front end of the coastal perimeter protection program. The 3x3 study was done by the Army Corps. As you recall, the design and engineering portion, which was about to come before us maybe a couple of years ago, would have allowed the Army Corps to take the lead on this. Through this memorandum of understanding, it will flip, and now the city, through its design team and efforts, will take the lead on both the alignment and the design of whatever perimeter protection is out there. So it's, I think, put us in a good place to lead the project.
Mr. Chairman, battery extension, not.
Battery extension, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Battery extension. So I think we're sort of heading in the right direction. We do have a motion, by the way, for 17, 18, 19, but Councilmember Ware.
You want to, Mr. Chairman, would you want to touch on the funds that we spent on this being credited towards our match?
Right, so once this design is completed, and the mayor can jump in behind me, and we've agreed upon it, and the Army Corps has agreed upon it, this will actually be funded back and credited towards our match for construction engineering and design. I see some nods in the background there. So it's money well spent, and we have monies in the bank to do this. There's some more items coming in behind it. So any other questions on either 17, 18, or 19? Mr. Mayor, do you have any comments?
No, I'll just make one quick comment since we're getting into a little bit of it. I do want to just say thank you to the local office of the Army Corps of Engineers as well as the regional office in Atlanta for their accommodations and working with us on this. I think it's very important for this to be a city-led effort, and it took a little while to go through their process, but we've been able to accomplish that, and just appreciate them helping us all row in the same direction.
Okay, any other questions, comments, concerns about 17, 18, or 19, which we're about to vote on together by mutual consent? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, now off the agenda, but onto what we've added onto the agenda, items 20, 21, and 22.
21, 22, and 23.
Right.
For approval 20 through 22.
We've got a motion to approve 20, 21, and 22, which were all the three add-ons. Is there any questions, comments about any of those three? Yes, sir.
I don't have questions. We had the benefit of being on the committee. Can we get a little bit more explanation for those who were not on the committee? I know
On,
he did it early.
on items 20 and 21, or
Of all minds are subtle.
which, by the way, 20 and 21 were taken up yesterday at the special meeting of the Public Works Committee chaired by Councilmember Waring, and both were approved unanimously. Number 20 is the prioritization and acceptance of the moving of transformers at 141 Meeting Street into our NSSF agreement, say that 3 times fast, which will allow for monies to be expended through that fund matched by Dominion to move transformers at 141 Meeting Street, which is the property just to the north of the Gibbs, which is going to be turned into public gathering space. And then the E.B. White building in front of it is going to be sold to the Gibbs, and that will be renovated. And all of this is preconditioned on a few things, not the least of which is configuring those transformers into a space that will allow for this work to be done. And this allows that to be done. And because the it's NSSF eligible, there's a match from Dominion. So the monies are half coming from the fund. The total amount of this project by our last communication with Dominion is $430,000. So do the math, $215,000 out of the fund and $215,000 directly from Dominion. The work will be completed in the first quarter of 2025. So that's the first matter. The second matter is, and I'm going to let maybe the mayor take this one up because he's much more familiar with it, but it's for the operations center for moving some, or for doing some work.
Doing some work underneath the rail line that, an easement that exists there. You know, we've been going back and forth with them on that, and who's going to do the work. It is part of the original budget for the city op center. It's not an add-on. In fact, it's probably going to be some decent savings there because CSX has agreed to actually do the work. We're just going to fund directly to them. There's I believe, a letter that you all may have on your desk from Mr. To Chase Anderson, who's been running that project. Again, all anticipated. It came to fruition, and due to the storm and due to the previous storm and the current storm, they have asked for this to be expedited in approval so that they can reserve a crew to get on this, so that there's no delay on our end.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Warren.
I want to thank the mayor and his team for bringing that forward because we all know construction delay and the inflationary effects with construction delays. So getting this done now saves a lot of money doing it a year later or a year and a half later. Thanks.
And thank you for taking it up at your special meeting yesterday.
It's
Really,
easy.
this is one where government has actually pivoted and moved very quickly, 24 hours from concept to looks like approval. So pretty amazing. All right. Any other comments, questions about items 20, 21, and 22? We had a motion, a second to take them all together and then to approve them. We had Councilmember Gregory, and who was the second? Councilmember
made the
Warren.
motion.
We did,
Okay.
Seconds around.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, next, our Committee on Real Estate. Chairman Appel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. City of Charleston Committee on Real Estate met all the way back on September 23rd, 3 o'clock. It was a very long meeting, covered a lot of ground. So if y'all will bear with me, I'm going to go through my report. The first item was an authorization for the mayor to execute a purchase and sale agreement. And this is over in connection with the Church Creek Flooding and Resilience Project. This is a acquisition of a parcel owned by Abundant Life Church of Charleston. The purchase price is $157,000, supported by an appraisal. And we're obtaining this property in connection with the stormwater project over in that part of town. And this was unanimously approved. The next four items pertain to Moja. This was already approved at our last city council meeting. And of course, this all flew through real estate on the 23rd as well. And I hope that that all, well, looks like some of these events have already taken place and some are to happen in the future for those interested in checking them out. The next item was a lease agreement between the City of Charleston and the International African American Museum. This is over at the Charleston Maritime Center. Back in 2021, a three-party MOU was entered into between the city, the aquarium, and the IAM for how this space was going to be allocated, where the aquarium was going to take the first floor for classrooms, the IAM was going to take the second floor for educational space and offices, and then about 500 square feet on the first floor for ticketing and a cafe space. What's before the committee and what's before council today is a lease that implements the MOU that provides a lease term for the museum up to 2045 plus a 25-year option, all on the same terms that we provided to the aquarium. Dollar base rent, and if the retail space that I mentioned on the first floor is sublet, the city gets to split the revenue with that, and we have the opportunity to decide whether we want to agree to that sublease. That was unanimously approved, and look forward to the Charleston Maritime Center coming alive in the coming years. The next item up had to do with the city marina. The committee held discussions on both what we know is the Marina Variety Store, and then also this office building that fronts Lockwood. All the items on the agenda pertaining to the office building have been deferred. But we do have before us today the Marina Variety Store items. Long story short, city owns the property. Back in 2022, the city entered into a new lease with the Marina Variety Store. That lease, the initial term runs through April 30th, 2027, and there's 3 renewal options of 5 years each. So at the full extent of the lease that runs us through April 30th, 2042. And as part of that lease, city council has to agree to assignments to third parties. The current tenant wants to assign the lease to Safe Harbor Marina. But as part of that assignment, and in order for Safe Harbor to feel safe, they want to make sure that they are protected in the event we do the battery extension project. And there's some conflicts with what's going on over there. So we've been negotiating with the parties an amendment to the lease that essentially allows the tenant to have their leasehold interest protected in the event the battery extension project impacts the site. There was some feedback that was received at the real estate committee meeting to essentially put a little bit more detail on the trigger for who determines what is a legitimate impact and what is not. Council circulated an updated document on Monday that incorporates a lot of that feedback that was received at the committee level, and that was sent over to everybody. Both of those items pertaining to the Marina Variety Store were unanimously approved at the real estate committee meeting. Then we had a discussion about the former, I guess, the Deco property over there downtown off of Ann Street. Those items have been deferred, but that'll be coming back around to council. Very exciting plan over there to get the old tenants out and get a really new, exciting tenant in there to really improve the space and upfit it accordingly. And then we considered 5 annexations, 4 of which were standard residential annexations. Those were all unanimously approved. I'll just mention that one of the annexations was over in District 11, the district I represent, on Stono Drive. This is in Riverland Terrace. It's that street that's right on the Stono River. It's probably one of the nicest streets in Riverland Terrace. And now with this annexation, that entire street is in the city of Charleston. And why that's significant is because, as we all know, Riverland Terrace has some of the most beautiful grand oak trees, if not in the city, maybe in the entire low country. It's just truly incredible. By having the whole street now in the city, this street is now eligible for one of those small non-standard service projects under our new ordinance. And I think that's going to be such an exciting opportunity in the coming years for the Riverland Terrace neighborhood, and hopefully encourage some more folks to join all the fun we're having in the city of Charleston by coming in to the city. All 4 of those annexations were approved unanimously. And then we had another annexation over off of Folly Road. That item has been deferred. That will most likely be coming back to council at a future date. And with that, I will, that concludes my report, and I ask that it be accepted.
So just if you're keeping track at home, I think move for acceptance of B, C, D, E, F, G, I, J, and then O, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Any discussion, questions? I think I got that right, Jennifer. Councilmember, microphone, please.
Hasn't Riverland also been designated as a scenic route some time ago? I may not be calling it correctly scenic route, but there's some official designation that Riverland has because of the trees, the scenic, et cetera, et cetera. I'll try to find out what it is, but it does have an additional designation, and I think it might be national or state.
Well, that's good to know, and that should go in the application for the project in the coming years. I appreciate you mentioning that.
Okay.
It's a beautiful place.
Yes, it is.
And Mr. Chairman, just to clarify the motion, so it's A, B through E have actually been approved previously, so they don't need a vote on those. So it's just A, F.
Have you been?
A is
Bear with-
deferred. Okay, A is in, okay.
So it's A, F, and then we have I and J. And then all of the annexations with the exception of 2.53 acres on Folly Road.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, that's the motion and seconded. Any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Is there any other matter to come before the Committee on Ways and Means? If not, by acclamation, we're hereby adjourned. See you in 7 minutes.
And we're like, people will bring in-
Oh, yeah.